Hello grade 7, it's me Teacher Jo, and I am back for another video about technical drawing. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to create an isometric drawing. But what is an isometric drawing? Isometric drawing, also called as isometric projection, is a method of graphic representation of three-dimensional objects, usually used by engineers, technical illustrators, and occasionally architects. Isometric basically means having equal dimensions. And there are three axes in an isometric drawing, which will be your foundation in creating the views and projecting lines. It will be discussed later. But before you begin with the operation sheet that I have prepared for you, you will need to prepare the following drafting, drawing, or materials. So first, we have the T-square, we have ruler, pencil, eraser, and lastly, we have the 30 by 60 degrees triangle. So these are the materials that you are going to use for this activity.
When creating an isometric drawing, always begin with these three lines. Just remember that these three lines looks like an arrow pointing down. Also, remember that in an isometric drawing, vertical lines are projected at 90 degrees, while diagonal lines are projected at 30 degrees or 60 degrees. Study the position of the triangle below. For operation sheet 1.1, you are going to create an isometric drawing of a cube with a measurement of 3 centimeters. Make sure that your materials are already ready for use.
For step number 1, create the lines that was mentioned. Use a 30 by 60 degrees triangle guided by a T-square. So how are we going to do that? So just follow the steps that I'm going to show you. So we have here the T-square to guide you with creating the lines using a 30 by 60 degrees triangle. So first, let us create the vertical line. So whenever you are going to create a vertical line or whenever you are using a triangle, just remember the position of the triangle. So always remember this. So it's just like that. So if you position this triangle like this, this is at 90 degrees. So if you rotate it here, it is still 90 degrees. Okay, so this part is 90 degrees and this part is also 90 degrees. So now let's create the vertical line projected at 90 degrees. Okay, so now I have the vertical line, which is very thin line. And the next one is the two vertical lines The next is the diagonal lines using these 30 degrees. So this one is projected at 30 degrees. Okay. So don't be confused when using this triangle. Just remember this. Remember your fingers in this position. Okay, so in this part, you are going to use this for the diagonal lines because this line is projected at 30 degrees. Okay, so we have to create the diagonal lines, and then you're going to flip it on the other side. Okay. So you will be projecting the vertical or the diagonal lines on the right side from the intersections of these two lines that you have created earlier. So from this projection to, I think the lines are too thin. Can you still see it? Okay, so the next is, it is said here that to do this you have to get the total height and width and depth of the given drawing. So these three lines actually represents the 3 dimensions. So the vertical line here would be the height. The diagonal line on the left will be the width, and the diagonal line on the right side would be the depth. So since we have a cube, or the given object is a cube having a measurement of 3 centimeters, so from these intersections you will measure 3, or you will mark a point with a distance of 3 centimeters. So you may use your ruler or your triangle, since it also have the centimeter measurements on this scale. So we will be starting here, from here, so from here up to this 3. So this is the 3 centimeter. So from these intersections of these 3 lines, we will mark a 3 centimeter distance. Okay, so just create a dot or a line, and then we will be creating the height. So again, from these intersections, you will mark a distance or a point with a distance of 3 centimeters. And then on the right side, we will mark again a point with a dimension or distance of 3 centimeters. So now we are done with getting the total height, width, and then the depth of the object. For the step number 2 is to project vertical lines from the ends of the created diagonal lines. So we have 2 diagonal lines in this drawing that was previously created. The next step that we're going to do is to create a vertical line. So always remember that when creating a vertical line, we will be using 90 degrees and then project. So from this point that you created, just create a vertical line. So take a look at how I use this T-square to guide the triangle in creating lines. So now I have created a vertical line, and then on the other side. Okay, next, for the step number 3, connect all vertical lines to create the surfaces of the front view and the right side view. So how am I going to do that? Remember that I have marked a point on this vertical line, or on my vertical axis. So from this point, I am just going to create a diagonal line going to the left and then going to the right, which actually indicates the width and the depth of the object. Again, with the use of my T-square, I am going to guide my triangle to create these lines. So from this point, I will create a diagonal line. Can you see it? And then, again, from this point, I am going to create another diagonal line. Okay, so now I have the surface of the front view and then the right side view. Next step. So create the surface of the top view by projecting and connecting the remaining lines. So which lines should I connect? So these intersections will lead you to create the top view or the surface of the top view. So how am I going to do that? So I'm just going to use this triangle and then project it. And then I'm just going to flip this triangle. Flip or rotate this triangle and then project the lines. Okay. So now I have the so now I can now visualize the shape of the cube here. So what is important to remember when projecting lines? Okay, so take a look at this. These lines are parallel with each other. Can you see it? Okay, so let's get the outline of this object. So first, let us darken all the vertical lines. So with the use of our ruler, let me change this. With the use of this ruler, let's darken the vertical lines. So can you see? Okay, we have 1, 2, and then 3 vertical lines. And then the next edges that we are going to darken is the edges on the front view. Okay, so we have this diagonal line here. And then here. Now we have the front view. Now let's create the right side view. Can you see that lines, this line and this one is parallel with each other? So it's facing the same direction, or it's going to the same direction. And then these lines are also parallel with each other. They're going to the same direction. Okay, so let's create the surface of the right side view. Let's darken this edge. And then this one. Okay, so now we have the right side view. The last surface that we have to create or outline or darken is the top view. So this line, okay, so can you now see it? So these lines are parallel with each other. And then this line is also parallel with these two lines. So take a look at this. Okay, so these are all parallel with each other. So now we have an isometric cube.
For the next activity, operation sheet number 1.2, Create the isometric drawing of an object based on a given orthographic view. So in this activity, I will be showing you an orthographic view or an orthographic drawing of the isometric or the 3D object that we are going to create. Now, take a look at the given orthographic drawing here. So we have the top view, front view, and then the right side view, where each views are indicated with dimensions. For step number 1, you have to create the 3 lines that was mentioned earlier. Use a 30 by 60 degrees triangle guided by a T-square. To do this, you have to get the total height, width, and depth of the given drawing. So in this orthographic drawing that is projected here, we have the dimensions indicated on each views. So we have to find where is the height, or what is the height, depth, and the width of the object. So the dimension that is encircled on the right side view would be the height, and the dimension that was circled on the left side of the top view would be the depth, and then the width would be the 3 cm, so which only means that the base form of the object that we are going to create is cube. It is only the base form, not the entire or not the actual shape of the object.
Okay, so now let's try creating this, the base form of this given object. So first, we have to create a vertical line. Just remember the steps and don't be confused. And then we have to create the diagonal lines. It's just the same steps. It's just the same steps. Okay, so we have to intersect this. So these 3 lines should be intersecting with each other. Okay, so from the instruction, we have to get the total height, depth, and then the width of the object. So we have 3, 3, 3. So which means that the base form of this object is cube. So the base form is a cube. So mark a distance, 3, 3, and then again 3 on this side. So after that, we have to project a vertical line again. It's just the same steps. So after projecting the vertical lines, we have to create the diagonal lines. So from this point, and then flip the triangle, just flip it on the other side. And then create the top view. So from these intersections and these intersections, we will be creating diagonal lines. Okay, so now we have created the base form or shape of the given. So for the next step is to create the features of the three views by analyzing the shape and the dimensions indicated on the orthographic drawing. So let us first create the front view. So I have color-coded each edges or lines in the front view because we are going to create it one by one. So let us first identify the red line on the drawing. So the red line would be this one. So this is the red line. Since it is already made or created, we can now darken it or outline this one. Okay, and then next we have to identify the blue line or the blue edge. So this is okay. So we have to create this vertical line. Now we are done creating the red and then the blue lines on the given orthographic drawing. The next one is we have to create the green line. So green line is above the blue line. So this line will be from here. Now let us find the dimension of the green line. So how are we going to find it? So it's just a matter of analyzing and observing. So if you already observe, the green line is the same as the line on the top view, which measures 1.5 centimeter. So it means that it is half of the total dimension or the total width. So we have to measure 1.5. So 1.5. We already marked 1.5 here. Let's try to darken it, since we are creating the edges one by one. Okay, so the next is the yellow line. So how are we going to create or find the dimension of the yellow line? So just look for the line that is parallel with the yellow line from the right side view. So which line is parallel with yellow line on the front view? So we have this line measuring 1.5 centimeters. So it means that it is also half of the total height. So we have this height. So this is the total height. We have to mark 1.5. Okay, so 1.5. So if we're done marking it 1.5, let us project a diagonal line. So can you see it? So I have projected a diagonal line, and then to get the yellow line on the front view, you just have to project it downward. So 90 degrees. Okay, until it touches this line or intersect with this line. Okay, so now we have the yellow line, and then next we have the pink line or the pink edge. So this will be the pink edge. Let's darken it. And then last is the violet line. So this will be the violet line. So this is how your front view will look like. So to create the remaining views, you will just have to project the lines from the front view. So how are you going to do that? So let us first do the top view. Okay, so you can see here that this that the line is already projected from this point. And then now I'm going to project a line from this point. Okay. And then another point here, I'm still going to project it. Okay. And then from this point, I'm going to project a diagonal line. You know, doing an isometric drawing is easy. Just don't be confused. Okay, so now I have created the top view. Okay, so and then let us create the right side view. So how are we going to create the right side view or the remaining edges? So we can see here the intersections of the lines that I have projected. So this line or this intersection, I just have to project it downwards until it touches this line. Okay, project. Done. Now, after projecting this line, I have to connect these two lines or these two intersections using this 30 by 60 degree triangle. Okay. So now, okay, can you see the shape of the three-dimensional object? Let's darken the edges to reveal the shape of the object. As I have said earlier, these lines are parallel with each other. Every line, every edge is parallel with each other. So there, we have the shape of the given orthographic drawing. So this should be your output.
Now, are you ready for an individual activity? Hopefully, you have learned something from the guided activity that we have earlier. So in this activity, you are going to create the isometric drawing of this given orthographic view. Before I end this video lesson, I would like to give you some tips. When creating an isometric drawing, always begin with the three axes. Get the total height, width, and depth, create the base form or shape, and analyze the features such as shape, lines, and dimensions of the given object.